Who's covered
an additional 600.
are y'all just looking?
This one only has a little bit of backyard.
This one
Somebody brings that the other day.
That would be just the backyard trees.
McDonald's.
But there's not a lot of flowers.
Wait, I can find
This one's exactly across the street.
First of all, why do you
Because they would want room for like a little play place or something.
he called it Steve. And we all there.
I'm not ready to.
We called and I said, listen, he's saying this was January 22. And I said, this is how they send us back.
yeah, I'll have to. Melissa's not here, so I don't wanna like confirm.
Go get that listing for me. I need that house.
Monday.
I said, you need to run your risk. And he said, why?
I mean, if you wanna go ahead and pull the
I saw the
paper off.
form from LS, and all of a sudden he went drinking this. And he's the kind of person who just,
Okay.
don't worry about this.
Alright.
I'll pull on something.
How are you?
I don't manage my career. I just run something.
Right.
I don't manage the affairs. But
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm great. How about yourself? Hey, George Grumman. Nice to meet you. I didn't know that.
And I was a little rubber baby.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, you did it wrong. Yeah. For Instagram? Oh. Just don't load them on. Oh, okay.
Morning, how you doing, man?
Sounds great.
I'll buy it.
I will. You got a car? How you doing, man? Thank you.
This wasn't
Well, we could, I could remember.
I didn't know we had a sign.
I said they probably
And I know I'm wrong, but I'm.
These guys, they're very yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, from an HVAC system breaks, they're going.
Yeah, so
Oh, no. So we're not forward.
I feel like I'm kind of already. One of my friends reached out. She bought a house. And not really all that close. So that brings me down.
I forgot that.
Okay, I'm gonna look into it. I hear you. I'll see you every week or so.
I haven't forgotten. I know.
You know,
It's a lot for me.
Right. And you're not have to do it.
That early in the morning.
They're like, it's not really on it.
Oh, they do? Oh, do you?
I know. Exactly. I'm like,
No.
I'll bring you someone.
So we're gonna say it.
It'd be hard to say.
well, I hope the morning.
Hello.
I know. That's what we're all.
Morning, Rob. How you doing today?
Good morning.
That means it's your morning.
Hello.
But anyway, I guess somebody has to recommend.
For just a bite. No, you're good. A junior mini.
Hang on, you know them.
Yeah, how are you?
See my text?
No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll have out for Saturday night.
Oh,
did we?
I
Okay.
don't read. Playing.
You're like, well, I'm
Let's get started.
Welcome to the summer months of Illinois. Someone give me some good news. Good news, anybody? Good morning.
Tournament season for sports stops in June.
Oh, man.
Tournament season, okay?
No, it stops in June. That's the good news. It's only one hard month.
That's good.
I'm gonna say it's only 1 month. It's a finite thing. It doesn't go on for forever.
You guys get that? Other good news?
No, I mean,
Is that? Let's move forward. Other good news. I'll tell you on a personal level that my 2 grandsons are here with me this week. And I've forgotten the blessing of getting 2 grandsons ready that are 13 to go to camp every day at 8 o'clock. That's why this is actually not coffee, this is bourbon. It's what keeps me sane. But I'm loving having them with me, but guys, getting them ready to go folks on a Monday to be at camp at 8 o'clock. They're at Whitfield Academy at their camp for the next 2 weeks. And so it certainly is teaching me how blessed I am to be a grandpa, which means they go home at some point. Because they're great. All right, guys, this is cool. All right, anybody else have something they want to share? Good news? Anybody at all? Good news, good news, good news going once. Good news going twice. Next, partners, Thomas and Brown.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone? I feel like everyone's in vacay mode. Still.
Oh, it's summer, not the
It is summer, yes. Well, good morning, guys. I'm Carrie with Thomas and Brown, if I've not had a chance to meet you yet. And we have a couple of things coming up. First, that was the May one. We did that, and thank you for everyone that came. No, you're good. I think that was it. Anyway, I can just tell you about it. It's on June 21st. We're going to have another CE class from 1 to 4. And it's called Hot in Here, Staying Cool During Clothing Issues. So we're going to talk about, things that can come up on title, like divorce, estates, probate, like trust, all kinds of things like that, any other title issues that can come up, ways to avoid that, conversations to have on listing appointments with your buyers, all kinds of good stuff like that. So that'll be here in the story room, June 21st. And then if you're going to Mega Camp, save the date, and I'll send this out. Monday, August 14th will be our Thomas and Brown event. If y'all been in the past, you'll know that we do it with a lot of the Atlanta area KW offices, so you have a chance to meet other people, that maybe you've worked with or just want to meet and talk to. So it's a lot of fun. So I will send out that info as well. So thank you guys as always.
All the offices, this is her favorite one.
Obviously. Jim likes to ask me that in front of other team leaders
I
and
do.
offices that we're partners with. He'll be like, hey Stephanie, hey Matt, hey, who's your favorite? Carrie, is it me? I'm like, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Which I
Are we
enjoy doing.
recording
Which
this?
I enjoy doing regularly. Thank you,
I know
right.
you do.
Thank you, Thomas and Brown. Hey, who's up next?
So silly.
We are. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Buenos dias. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Come on, people.
Buenos
So when you have a Hispanic client, that's the first thing that you're gonna say. Buenos dias. So you're gonna say buenos dias. You learned something new this morning. So, good morning. Good morning. My name is Camilo Milo Escandon. Milo because it's easy to remember in English. My loan officer. To remember that.
Milo, we got the first time.
You got the first time, I got it. That's okay, I have to remind you.
Perfecto.
Perfecto, thank you. Grazie. Okay, two things. Great news, probably you heard in the past that we have the Supreme 100 Dream, or the Supreme Dream, that's 100% financing, FHA. Great news, we just launched the Supreme 100 Conventional. You hear that? Conventional. So minimum credit score is 660, maximum ratio is 50%. On FHA, you get into 56.99%. But you can get this one into 50%. You can get up to 4% in assistance, meaning that we do the loan to value to 97%, use the 3% to cover the down payment, and the extra 1% you can use for closing costs. Okay? So yay! So it's
Buenos dias.
So this is a great addition, a company where you talk to your clients. You know, we have now the 100% conventional. We have a 100% FHA. Okay, any questions about this real quick?
Yeah, so 100%, you said get 3% to go towards closing costs or go towards
Down
the
payment.
down payment?
Down payment, the 3%. So let's say that the minimum that you can get, or the minimum down payment you can get on a convention is 3%.
Right,
Okay,
so it's not 100% loan.
it's gonna be 100%. Why? Because we're gonna use, it's more internally that we use 97% as a first loan, and it's gonna be a second for 3%. Okay, so we cover 100% financing. It's gonna be the same rate on both. But the addition to this 3% is you can use an additional 1% of the sales price or price value to use it towards closing. So in $300,000 homes, you have $3,000 extra to use this towards closing costs. So basically, don't get confused, it's 100% finance. The way that we handle internally is gonna be 2 loans. Okay, but it's not gonna be any restriction on that. You can refinance, okay? Anytime you can sell it, you're not gonna have any restriction on that. Yeah.
One other thing, just so y'all understand this, so I did one of these with Supreme a couple months ago. And here's the deal. It's 100% financing. There's large amount of closing costs, okay? Not because they're sticking it to the borrower or whatever, they're expensive, right? So the closing costs are typically higher. So if you get 3% or 4% coming back for closing costs, most people putting 0 down is because they don't have a lot of reserves. So it's important to structure that deal, right, Milo?
Yeah, that's true. And how do you know this is right for your client? You have the conversation. Or of course, you're gonna send it to us and we're gonna have the conversation. Based on what we understand, what they're looking for, priorities and everything, we're gonna, okay, this is a right fit for you. You can start with this, you can refinance later. That's the way that we handle the FHA program as well. But at least we have something additional for the clients on that matter, okay? So we're gonna send you more information about this. And the second thing that I wanna talk to you is probably you heard about the personal and professional best. This is a program that we created at Supreme. Okay, every month we talk about different topics within the professional development or personal development. We had the Red Day, okay, and that feeling of being on the Red Day was awesome, isn't it? Serving others. So this month on June 22, our theme is gonna be everybody can serve. So June 22nd at 3 p.m. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. So we're gonna have different speakers talking about how you can serve and the way that you can maximize to increase your personal and professional best. Okay, we're gonna send you some more information. That's it. Any other questions?
Vamos.
Vamos. Okay, now, adios. Adios.
All right.
Ciao, ciao.
Welcome to our sponsor, Roof It Forward, who brought us breakfast. Come on up.
Good morning, y'all. One of newer faces since I was in here last time. So, for any of you guys that I haven't met, I'm Ryan Davenport. I'm a senior manager at Roof It Forward. I've been your roofing guy since 2017. So always a pleasure to be back in. I usually come stop in a few times of the year. I want to touch on something a little bit different than just the usual roofing stuff today, but for anybody that doesn't know us or what we do free roof inspections, video inspections. We help you guys when you've got an older roof project or something bad pops up on an inspection report. Give us a call. It's not a charge, and I can definitely talk to you guys more one-on-one offline about more details with that. But June is a huge month for us every year, and I left some of these next to the breakfast, and I've passed these out a lot when I've come in, because we are Roof and Forward, so that's pay it forward, it's play on words. So we are a faith-based Christian company. We don't hide behind that. A portion of every job we do, we donate back to CHOA here in Atlanta, so Children's Healthcare, specifically with Camp Sunshine here in Georgia. So basically in June, school's out, camp starts. So what we do every single summer, minus those couple COVID years, is we volunteer our time, not just our money, with going in and helping these kids with camp. Unfortunately, they're all cancer patients. We're helping load and unload buses when they take off to camp, when they go down there, helping with activities. That's something we do as a whole collective organization. Our spouses come, like my wife comes when we go do it. We just signed up for the end of the month. So our partnership with Keller Williams as a whole, but specifically for myself with Atlanta North, I mean, you guys play a big role in what we do here in Atlanta and how we give back. So like I said, whether it's a $500 fix of a nail or it's a $50,000 roof project, a portion of every single one of those is going back to them specifically. So it's just a big part of who we are. With the camp stuff coming up, if any of you guys want to get involved with us on this, since we have been partnered with business for so long, let me know. Especially if you have a team or you and your spouse want to come with us and do something like that, you're welcome to come along and do that. We can definitely make that happen. But this is just a big month for us. It's a big time that we really dig in and get involved with it. Like I said, since COVID, now we have kind of let the restraints off of us again to kind of be involved. Obviously, they didn't want us around the kids when all that was getting a little bit hot and crazy there. So we're super thankful for you guys. A lot of good friends in the room, a lot of outside the room that aren't here this morning too, that we've learned to love and work with for many years. So anybody have any questions or anything for me on anything roofing related at the moment? All right.
How about taking a break?
You're giving me the right number, so.
Oh, good.
Looking at your.
That's I love that. I would love it. Y4C2Ts. God, this is how we live. Kelly, what's your favorite one this morning? The Y4C2Ts.
Let's see. I would say communication. Seek first to understand.
Okay, Kelly, tell us why that's important to you, particularly in your role.
Well, you know, and honestly, in all of our roles, but yeah, certainly when I'm leading a team and then when I'm teaching them how to communicate, and we're going to talk about this today with Rob, if you don't understand where the person across from you is coming from and the why behind whatever they're trying to do, then you cannot influence them into action. Not in the way that's going to serve them. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, because you understand where they're coming from. Sometimes it'll change the way you see things and the way that you treat them, guys. And always remember that they are your co-worker. They're not your enemy. So that's a great one for today, Kelly. Thank you so much. Oh, I love this Agent Steph highlight. I think I highlighted somebody fabulous 2 weeks ago, me. So this is something this morning again. This morning we're going to highlight, oh my goodness, it is going to be Heather Abernathy. She and her father have got a great team here. Previous occupation, senior financial analyst and asset manager. I certainly understand why that will be her job, because that's the way she thinks. I'm joined KW because I have the best culture, was the most prominent in the area, and was the most similar in practice to our prior company, which she and her father had together. Which is great. Been real estate for 20 years. Interesting fact, I was ranked in the top 50 in the state of Georgia for tennis and girls 16 and under. Does that surprise anybody?
Wow.
Not at all. Athlete and also something. All right, then we have Suzanne Chafin. Suzanne, she is on previous occupation, a private voice instructor. I've forgotten that. Joined KW because I felt KW's priorities align with my own. God, family, and always come first for me. 4 years in real estate, and she is a trained opera singer. I have a master's in vocal performance and have sung professionally in Europe and the southeastern U.S. Way to go, Susan. I've forgotten that about you, so that's great to know. I love these, by the way. Noble USA. Now, guys, we're going to talk more about it in the next few weeks. This is something that Gene Ross brought to us, and it's a way for people that have a certain amount of business to align with Noble USA. They are an insurance company that gives you like 10 or 15 different quotes for insurance quotes. So we're gonna talk more and more about this. There is a way you can become a shareholder. I'm gonna talk about that today, but just realize that this is out there, and as a shareholder, you do get a chance to participate in the profit they make. Provide your buyers with the best selection of insurance coverage, sourced from 15 top-rated insurance companies, cater to your clients' needs. What I'm hearing about it, Christy, what do you find out about that? That's a good product?
Oh yeah, I'll sign up for another slot. So based on how much you sold in the previous year, they tell you how many slots you can buy. And I forget if it was $600 or $900 to buy in, but you're agreeing that every time you put a buyer under contract, you will do an introduction, a soft introduction to Noble. Noble gets to give them a quote for homeowners insurance because that's a higher percentage of conversion for them, and then people tend to renew. And then after a year, you start getting dividends back. So we got some really nice checks early this year from Noble that pretty much almost paid you back the full amount you've already invested, and it's good for X number of years, so there'll be more dividends being paid. So it's a great way to invest in your business. It's more passive income, and all you have to do is an email to introduce them.
And guys, as you know, we love passive income. We love passive income. All right, so great. KW Commercial, we're gonna have a KW Commercial in a minute. Who's doing this morning? Come on up.
It would be me. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
For those that don't know me, I'm George Crumley. Been in real estate since 2000. Right now, I'm doing commercial real estate with my partner, Mark Parrish. We just started this commercial minute, so it sometimes gets challenging to make sure I keep everybody's attention and give you something that's powerful enough to take along with you. So what I thought I'd talk about today is three different things: it's multifamily, warehousing, and talk about types of leases, all in 1 minute. So bear with me. So first of all, investors buy commercial real estate for cash flow, and the biggest cash flow cow is multifamily housing. So Atlanta's market has softened a little bit during 2023, following a strong performance over the past decade. However, over the last year, expansion of multifamily has been 1.1% as of March, trailing the national average, which is about 4%. As a result, Metro Atlanta's rent average is about $1,690 per month, just about $16 below the national average. The good news, however, is construction is still solid in Atlanta, with about 38,105 units underway, and another 144,000 in the planning and permitting process, which is a great opportunity for commercial sales. The publication that I got this from, which is Yardley, expects nearly 15,000 units to come online in 2023, which will make Atlanta's market the best for multifamily in history. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. Second thing I wanted to talk about was warehousing. One of the things I found out was Lowe's, for example, is opening more warehouses which will serve as storage facilities for their off-season goods. Now, this is a new strategy for them, because normally what they do is it's the hub and spoke thing where they put basically everything in one spot and they'll send it to the different stores. When that store runs out, you may have to go to another store. By doing this warehousing thing, what they'll do is they'll shoot things out based on how many the customer needs that particular store, so that if one store runs out, they can then send more. So that basically gives us more opportunity from a commercial perspective. Just to give you an idea, Lowe's has added 16 million square feet of space over the past 5 years as part of their supply chain expansion. This is a big project for Lowe's as well as other large big box stores. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just the types of leases for commercial real estate. There's actually four, but I'm just going to talk about two. One is gross lease, which is basically used by most retail spaces and office spaces, which is basically you pay your rent, which includes your maintenance, your taxes, and utilities and your insurance. The other type is called a net lease. There's three types. There's a single net lease, there's a double net lease, and there's a triple net lease. And basically, those net leases are comprised of three things. It's taxes, maintenance, and insurance. So if you have a triple net lease, you're basically responsible for all three: double, two, and single net one. Any questions?
Let's give George a hand. How was that? Years ago, when someone would come to me and say, Jim, what do you think about me doing some commercial business? I would say, well, tell me all about it. Tell me about it. Oh, that's interesting. Why do you want to do that? Now I go, no, don't do it. So for the commercial people, that's who should be doing it. Focus on what you can control. So I can change my script over. Is that a better script than I can? But I will send you to one of the commercial guys that you talked about actually right now. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for this. Career night. You want to tell us about career night?
So we have career night every month. We're trying to do it in the beginning of the month. So please talk to and send emails out to your database. There's plenty of people that you know that have no idea how to get in real estate, to even, find out how it's done and whatnot. We have some great programs for it. So we're having career night. We're supposed to have it tonight. Yeah, so it's tonight, but we had no reservations for tonight. This is the first time I've had no reservations.
And it's still in person, Rob, or is it Zoom or?
It's in person.
Okay.
And there's a theory of why it's in person. So real estate is hard. Everyone agree? Real estate's hard, and you gotta kind of jump in. If you could at least get in your car and maybe take the effort to drive over. It's a very low bar, right? But if you could at least do that, then it's like, okay, now we can have a conversation. But if they're not even willing to do that, there's no way they're going to be self-motivated through that period of time to get licensed. So please be talking to people about it. And we have it every month.
And who knows we have a free real estate school at Keller Williams? Who knows that? Everybody should know. What's it called?
K-Score.
Say it one more time.
K-Score.
K-Score, exactly right, Joe. So guys, we have a free one for it. Guys, it's online and the price is right. So talk to Rob, talk to Kimberly. They can tell you more about the free school. We enrolled a couple people this week, which I
Quick
love.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
When is it for career night for next month?
We haven't set the date yet because 4th of July is that first week, so it'll probably be the week after 4th of July.
Is it always on a,
Try to do it on Tuesdays.
like the second Tuesday of July,
Are you trying to tie me down?
probably?
Yes, she's a dude.
Jill, when would you like to have it? I will have it.
Second Tuesday of July. is good.
Perfect. And a guest speaker?
No. But I might send you some people.
Awesome.
I guess, and Power Hour every Wednesday, 9 to 10 for script practice, and it's in the lead gen room, and at 10 to 11 they do actually the lead gen activities. You want to say something about that?
One thing about that. So if you have teams, right, or you have other people that you're thinking about maybe doing a team or something like that, Kelly, since you're here, we've got other teams that have sent their ISAs last week to script practice, and we identified something real quick. They're like, oh, well, I'm not having success, and then they gave me their numbers of how many phone calls they're making, and I was like, there's your problem.
Yeah.
And they were like, huh? I was like, it's not enough volume, right? You have to have enough volume to produce conversations, right? Or you get really good at getting into a conversation, then you can, like if I got on phones today, I could have less conversations than probably somebody who's brand new. Because I just have a higher skill set to move it along, right? So it's all about volume. So you got to know your numbers, okay? So I encourage everybody to come.
Cool. Group coaching, hosting, how to host an open house Wednesday, June the 7th from 11 to 12. And Paige Morgan's going to do it, and she certainly is an expert at how to do great open houses. So guys, put it on there. If you're not doing open houses right now, particularly if you're a new agent, you're leaving money on the table because guys, that is a great way to have some business coming in the front door, particularly buyers right now. So get out there, do open house. If you want an open house, reach out to some of our teams. They're always looking for somebody to do open house for them. So please do that. Group coaching under contract. Now what? With Eric Decker, he's going to do it on Monday, June the 12th from 11 to 12. So if you don't know what's next, after you get something in contract, because you've forgotten, it's been a while since you had something in contract, you may want to come and just jump in this class and do it again on Monday, June the 12th from 11 to 12. Feeling, I turn over.
Trivia night.
This is trivia night. You want to talk about it?
Well, we've had low sign up right now, so I'm open to feedback to say, is June 24th tough for folks and school just gotta help? If we need to move it later in the summer or the fall. If not, please sign up. can tell us that it's not a bad time, so I guess we'll probably need to make that call the next week or so if we don't have signups. We only have 2 so far that, we did, but it's really fun, it's in Patty Jackson's backyard. We bring in a trivia guy from Woodstock, we've got prizes, there's refreshments and wine and beer and stuff, so it's a really good night, so if you haven't been to one before, you're missing out.
It's fun, Mike, 'cause I've been in, really a lot of fun. We had a lot of trivia I didn't even understand, which is cool. Lessons learned, I'm gonna steal from you this morning, Rob. I was talking to our attorney this week, and he told me 2 things. Who knows about the NAR class action lawsuit? What do you know about it, Kelly?
Commissions?
The commission's lawsuit,
Exactly right, Joe, what do you know about it?
I think hundreds of homeowners or past home sellers have gotten together to file a class action lawsuit about how buyer's agents are paid, about them paying buyer's agents.
That's what state I like that. Anybody else want to add something to it? It also has to do with that buyers want the chance to say, well, I will work with you if you'll give me 1% of your commission to use for my closing costs. They want to be able to tell their buyer's agents that that's, I'll work with you, I'll choose you. Do we have something similar on the listing side where they can hire you and you can choose to do it for $500? What's that company called? Limited Services? That's been around for a long time, guys. This is something similar on the side to where they want to say, well, then maybe the seller needs to pay his agent and the buyer pays their agent. So there's a lot of stuff going on. What I'm hearing out there, people on my level, is this does not have a ton of teeth. You know, it does not have a ton of teeth. That there's not a lot they can do to stop this because it's such a natural progression. But might we get to where the buyer's agents are being paid by their client? That could happen. Would that be a bad thing?
I think it will happen. I think we are less than 10 years away from that being the case.
Okay, and that could be true, Kelly. You're out there in the field, I get that. In the commercial side, what happens?
You're already having to do it in some cases, because we can't get, I say we, Georgia's probably has already seen this, in fact, I'm hoping one of Katie's clients, and we're looking at multifamily complexes, and it clearly says no broker commission. And my client, our client, thanks to Katie's introduction, said, well, I don't understand that. I said, more than likely the broker is he or she is driving down the commission to win a listing and basically putting no money for the people that are bringing him. And I think there's a problem on that. So, and I said to the client, she said, well, can you still get paid? And I said, we'll figure that out as we go down the road. She said, well, you will get paid. And I said, well, thank you for saying that.
Jim, can you back up? I didn't catch what Kelly said. It seemed pretty interesting, so I thought.
With buyer's agents. So I believe, and I'm not the only one, but I do believe that within most of our careers, maybe unless some of us are retiring in the next 10 years, that buyer's agents are going to be the ones paying our fees or some portion of our fees. I think that there's going to be downward pressure on buyer agent commission from the seller side. And so what the best thing that we can do right now is to, number one, have a crystal clear, really amazing value proposition with our buyers that we're working with, such that they would offer to pay us for our services. And once we have that, because it's going to flush a lot of buyers agents out of the business, there's a lot of people who would not be paid if it was up to their buyers paying them. So we need to start preparing right now, I think, for that.
And Mark says yes, sir, George.
If I'm mistaken, isn't Georgia one of the few states that has this that way? Aren't most states?
And I've heard that a couple times now, and I don't know the other
I know in New York.
In New York.
Yeah, buyer pays buyer and seller pays seller. But I was told that in most states that's the way it is. Georgia's one of the few states where the seller pays both.
And it's just because it's a precedent. It's not because they have to. It's just because that's the way it's always been done. But it's getting to be a weak reason,
right,
you know, for continuing to do it. Especially as these millennials get to the point where they're selling their first home and their second home. I think we're going to see some big changes.
We're also hearing a lot more about, now you sold my son's house for $200,000. You're gonna sell my house for $2 million, and you're gonna get paid 6% on both of them. What did you do different than my house? Being able to justify your value proposition. That's out there also right now, guys. Second thing that Ned and I talked to, this is Ned Blumenthal, who I think is one of the brightest minds in real estate litigation out there. I call him whenever I have a question that I think, well, that's a great question. You know what he spends most of his time on right now, the case they're coming to him? He's just being sued because they said, oh, don't worry about it. Don't have an appraisal, or don't worry about it, don't have an inspection, don't worry about it, don't do all that stuff. Because you want the deal, you gotta do that. And guys, that's what he's getting a lot of inquiry about right now. He's being sued, or the country being sued also, because the people felt that they were left out there, and maybe they didn't have to waive all the contingencies. So guys, I would tell you, if you're asking your client to do that, you gotta have something in writing that says, I've explained to you, and we're working on something right now on the office side of it, sure is, but I've explained to you that you're giving up these rights willingly. And you know that you can do this, but I explained it to you guys, and so that's what we spend a lot of time on. And a lot of time means maybe a case to a month, but it's gonna come that way, and I'm very surprised it's taken as long as someone might come back and say, Golly, I wish I had not given up my right, because look how much it cost me. So anyway, Kelly and Rob, y'all are up. Let's welcome Kelly and Alan. Yay!
And Rob. Oh, wait, navy's your color.
What's that?
Navy is your color.
So first thing, I want to thank her for coming, and I want to be respectful of her time. Cinderella here will turn into a pumpkin at 10:30. She needs to hit the road. Okay. Thank you,
Pick like
Cinder.
a skinnier vegetable, like a celery stalk, or.
I said Cinderella.
Yeah.
Oh, the pumpkin part. I was looking at the nice orange dress and now a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Don't throw Jill under the bus.
She looks like a pumpkin.
Yeah, I'm digging deeper and deeper. So, I've got a lot of questions, and it's funny, they're from newer agents, but it has nothing to do with being a new agent. So, if you're a newer agent and you're struggling with this, we all do, okay? And so how many of you have a bunch of buyers right
Or even a few.
now? Even a few, I mean, so more than one buyer right now, right? And let me guess. Man, I would love to get them in contract, but it is hard, right? So that's what we're gonna talk about. And we're gonna start from the very beginning, and I think a lot of us have gotten lazy, okay? Self-included, it's very easy. Kelly could probably do the same thing. You know, we've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing. So what is the first thing you need to do with a buyer?
Well, I want to actually go back even a little bit before that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I wrote a list of 5 things that I want to make sure we cover today. The first is, who is your buyer? On our team this week, we've been talking about picture yourself at the tee box. You'll appreciate this. There are 3 options you have at that moment. You can try to hit the ball. You can try to get the ball anywhere in the fairway, as close to the hole as possible. Or what the pros do is that they try to hit the ball within, what, a few feet?
Specific spot.
Yeah. So I want you to think about that analogy with your buyers. Are you just trying to hit the ball? Meaning, I'm just trying to find any buyers right now. I'll work with anybody right now. Or are you aiming for anywhere in the fairway? Okay, they've got to be pre-approved, you know, and sometime this year. Or have you narrowed your focus? And so that's my first question is, do you know who your buyer is? Are you willing to create an avatar for the buyer that you work best with? And the best way to look at it is, who have you worked with over the past 12 months that had, as a buyer, that has successfully closed? What are their characteristics? Why are they moving? What were their ages? What was their price point? What was their family situation? That will become your buyer avatar. And so now that gives you something to focus on. So I think that's where we start, number one. I think that we have a very, there aren't many people that have a very defined focus of the type of buyer they are willing to work with in this market. You know how we talked about the barrier of entry to real estate is so low, or I think you might have said that.
Yeah.
How low is the barrier of entry to work with you? And just because you're new does not mean that you have a low barrier of entry.
I use the analogy and use this with new agents, and it's so easy to do. And even successful agents been in business for a while. Are you a golden retriever, right? Or are you professional, right? So if you get a text message from a buyer that you haven't even done a consult with, but you know they're gonna be buying soon, and we've all gotten it, you get the Zillow picture, right? Oh, I wanna go look at this house, and you go running out there, right?
Yeah,
Why?
so barrier, yeah, so who's your buyer? And then what is their barrier of entry to work with you?
Because they're gonna be in your life.
Yeah, and you have to think about,
They
don't
earn a
just think
spot.
about one buyer, you gotta think about, it's gotta be scalable. You know, do they have to be pre-approved? Well, come on, that's a pretty good barrier to entry, right? Not to necessarily meet with you, but certainly to get in the car. What's their motivation? And I think that's where we really probably wanna start now is in your consultation that you're having with them. First of all, are you going into the consultation, I hope they hire me, I hope they hire me. I want them to like me, I want them to like me. Or is it, I wonder if I wanna work with them. I hope I like
There's two
them.
interviews going on.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I look at it all the time, I'm going, and I just saw Liz shaking her head, I was like, you know, these people come into your life, like, big time, like
Yeah.
you're eating dinner with your family, and
Yeah.
we've all been there, and you're like, oh, just the one night, I just wanted to relax, and they wanna go see something at 7:00, right? So they're
Well,
deep in your
that's called
life.
boundary issues.
Yes,
We can
yes,
talk
I
about
got
that.
But I mean, they're deep in your life, so, you know, you wanna qualify them to give them the best of you.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Mhm.
question. So recently I went to go hear Jeff Glover and his team present,
Yeah,
and
She
their
loves
I love
Jeff.
Jeff.
their method is to send their buyer's agent out to meet the call that just came in.
That's an
And there's
internet
a-
lead. Mhm.
Yes.
And there may be a few, oh, that's a great property, well, tell me a little bit more about that over the phone, but
Yeah.
he says, just go meet them.
Yep.
Right? And then, so my question is, how are y'all approaching that,
We actually talked about this.
okay,
So, not to jump in front, but here's the deal, like, when I was on a team, I had all Zillow leads, right? They were awesome, right? But I had a theory, right? They get one free look. So, yes, I would run out there and do that one, because they don't know me. They just, this is what the consumer wants. They see it online, and whether they like you or not, you know what you are? You're a big key to open that door. Then you have to turn it into a buyer consultation, either right there. I've had people sign on the hot hood of their car, right? Or we set up an appointment. So
You gotta earn
but
that
you-
right.
yeah, you go
Yeah.
in to, this is a great opportunity to meet them, they're motivated enough. But what's the next step? 9 times out of 10, I can tell you on all the Zillow leads I used to do, nobody bought that house on the first one, correct? How many
No.
one and dones?
Oh, yeah, I mean, gosh, I love one and dones.
I know,
I mean, I know, I know what,
They haven't, but
obviously
there's
they
not a lot.
haven't, but no, they rarely, so you're going in there, you're treating it kind of like an open house, you're engaging, you're bringing energy, and you're there to help. Because I promise you, they have searches set up, right? They're on Zillow all the time, they've got everything. What can you bring to the table in that first meeting that will cause them to step back and have an aha moment? And that's when you go in for the consults. So yeah, I don't know how many, so yeah, if you're getting internet leads and they wanna see a home, yeah, you get out there and go show that home. You don't put a barrier of entry no, you've gotta have a consult, you haven't earned the right to ask for that yet. So in the consult, here's some things that we're going over. And I want you to really think about this and go back and look at all of your buyers. Do you know the answer to these questions? And if you don't, then we'll talk about that in a second. But the number one thing is, what is their pain point? They're gonna tell you, I know we're all asking, why are you moving? We're all asking that. But it's so much deeper than that. So give me a reason why one of your buyers is moving right now.
Schools.
What about schools?
They don't like their current school system that they're in, and their kids are aging into a lower rank school.
Okay, got it. All right. So they want to they want to get into a better school system, right? Okay, that's a great why, right? Tell me what's important about getting your kid into that better school district. What will that do for them ultimately?
They want to make sure that they're opening up like the opportunities and not like limiting their child's like potential and like what schools they can get into, like, you know, the cultures that they can be exposed to.
Yeah. So now I've gone too deep into it, right? The why, and then So first of all, I would compliment that parent. Say, as a parent, what you're doing is honestly something that I just want to commend you on, because you're choosing your child's future, right? Over the pain of moving right now. I guess, you know, are you Jennifer?
Amanda.
Amanda, I'm sorry. That's what I knew. That's really what I meant. As Amanda. Really, I'm looking at you. I'm like, I know your name. Amanda. Jennifer came out. So Amanda, I want us to fast forward for a second, because this process of buying a home and moving right now, it is not the easiest thing. And I'm going to ask you probably to make some concessions. There's going to be a little bit of stress and anxiety involved, things like that. So Amanda, I mean, what would happen if this move never happened?
Well, it's gotta happen.
Okay.
That's what almost all my clients say. They're like, well, it has to.
But what if it didn't?
It's here or it's somewhere else.
Okay.
Like a lot of my clients are like, no, like they're already like at the breaking point of like, they don't want their kids in that school anymore, whether it's bullying or poor test scores or, you know.
And they don't want to pay for private school.
And they don't want to pay for private school.
Got it.
Yeah, because that's the other option.
So staying is not an option. This is an absolute necessity. This is a must move. Am I hearing you right, Amanda?
Right.
Got it.
It's not.
So, Amanda, we're going to be talking about this a lot. We're going to be just talking about what is the price point that we're looking in, the location, the school districts that you want to be in, and the condition of the home. And Amanda, when we're talking about this, there's going to be times when we may need to make concessions on one of those three things. And now I'm going to get into the concessions, because a lot of people feel like it's a must move until they have to start negotiating on what they want. And now all of a sudden, it's not a must move anymore, right? I'll wait one more year, you know. I guess we'll just go private and stay. So my point in this is I want you guys to dig so deeply into that pain point. And that's a great pain point. A lot of us are not fortunate enough to work with all of our buyers or moving because their kids are getting bullied or they're going to become criminals, you know, if they don't move. So a lot of us are
Special needs kids over here.
Great job, yeah. So a lot of us are working with people who have very weak motivations for making a move right now. And I think that a lot of agents are scared to ask the question of what happens if this move doesn't happen. But why do you think we're scared to ask that?
Because we think they'll choose that, like start picturing it. Oh yeah, I could choose to not.
Yes.
Well,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
we can use this on both sides. We're talking buyers here, right? But Jill or Paige, right? When does the real motivation hit the road, right, in a listing? That inspection comes back or whatever, and if you don't know their real motivation, right, you can't go back to, hey, is this $1,200 on the deck gonna prevent you from being closer to your grandkids? Oh, right, because it's motivation. So it's these three deep on motivation. This is your whole career, right? This is what people will make a move based on, right? Whether it's buy, sell, right, to an investment property.
Well, what that's gonna mean is that you're gonna be working with fewer buyers that you actually meet with.
Yay.
But guess what else that means? Well, okay, you got two options at that point. Boy, we've been battling this all year. Are you gonna choose to spend your time making the unmotivated buyers motivated? Or are you going to have some type of system and nurture plan to put them on so they will become motivated one day, just not right now? Do you have a follow-up plan for them? And then are you willing to spend your time finding the motivated? You get to pick one way or the other. But right now, what I see is that a lot of us are spending time trying to make unmotivated buyers motivated in this market. Have you heard that song? I played it on our Power Up this morning. If he wanted to, he would. The country song. Y'all heard that?
You sing it?
If you liked it. I don't actually know all the words to it, but basically she's like, listen,
Take you home.
if he wanted to, he would call you. If he wanted to, he would take you home to meet his mom. And I was like, this is so perfect for our buyers right now. If they wanted to, they would move. Okay? Stop being like that girl in that song that's like, oh, he called me or he texted me, he waved at me, you know, maybe he will, maybe he will. Yeah. But you do, so motivation.
See how motivation changes? You know the new country song right now, the Georgia girl, and all of a sudden she'll wear that Tennessee hat, right? So that's real motivation right there, right?
Kelly, you said price point, condition of the home, and what was the third thing you said?
Okay, so it's a buyer triangle, and we use this all the time. Oh gosh, so I'm gonna run the last, yeah.
Right,
So
this is good.
I come back to this all the time. Let's do that. So you've got condition, price point, and location. I've been using this now for probably 15 years with buyers. And I get them to draw it at your buyer consult, and typically you'll have to get them to draw it one more time, like throughout the process. And so when I'm with a buyer, or when I'm teaching my agents, all right, so Mr. Buyer, I know we talked about a lot of things that you want and that you must have. At the end of the day, can we agree it comes down to the condition that the home is in, the area or school district, and the price point that you want to be in, correct? Those are our three most important things we're talking about. Okay. So Mr. Buyer, based on what you're telling me right now, the price point you want to be in, the school district that you want to get your kids into so they have the best life that you can give them, here's what my concern is that if we don't change the condition of what we're looking at, meaning maybe we look for a bonus room and don't have to have that basement, or maybe we have the 2.5 baths and we don't have to have that third full bath, then I can get you in the price and the location that you want. So how do you feel about that? Tell me, no, we gotta have the basement, and that's okay, gotta have the basement. Okay, got it, all right, well, that's an option, we can do that. All right, so then we come down to, okay, so we gotta have the basement, gotta have the 3 full baths, and we gotta be in the school district, then we gotta push our price up to $550. How do you feel about that? Is that something that you're able to do? And so you're just beginning to narrow down what you're gonna be negotiating on later anyway, okay?
You know, it's funny, 15, 20 years ago, you know, hey, how big of a deal was condition when you bought your first or second house?
You know, it amazes me how it has changed.
There's no going back either. There's no.
I know,
yeah, you know
To get in
why?
to get in that first house, you know, you're willing to do anything. You can rebuild the driveway, you can
I
fix
remember
the
my
hole
aunt
in
telling
the
me-
roof, you can do all.
Because they
That's
can't
right.
help
A
it.
little
That's the
paper, a little
HGTV
paint makes it
effects.
look like what it ain't, that
That's
ship
cute.
sailed, right?
No, it's not their fault. It's not their, it's my generation growing up with, well, not growing up, okay, I'm 44, but maybe it's the generation just below me growing up in HGTV, right? And Pinterest. It's not their fault. They can't help it. Their bar has been reset, right?
So once you go through the triangle, I'm finding with a lot of my
relocation clients, they're underestimating the market in Atlanta. So what it looks like to be able to be in a good school district and have the condition in a home is much more expensive than what they anticipated. And so once we establish that, are you requiring an updated pre-approval, or how are you taking back over that exchange to keep them motivated but still take ownership over your time, so that, okay, now we see it's going to take $600,000 or $700 to get all of these things. We're approved at 485, but we want to keep them engaged and excited, but they don't want to compromise on location or condition.
But they have to.
They have to.
You're so lucky. You're working with relocating people. These are people that have to move, right? So first of all, you get hired, number one. Okay, you get hired before you start letting them know that what they want is not the most realistic. Okay, get hired first. But we've been talking about this on our team a lot too. This is where the great agents and the salespeople are going to start to shine, okay? Your job is to lead your buyers. In order to lead them, they have to look to you as a leader. And when you lead them properly, you will influence their action. So the first thing I would look at is, if my buyer is not doing what I'm telling what they need to do, look at me first. Look at yourself first. Where have I failed them? What questions have I not asked? Where have I set an expectation or let them have an assumption that I should have challenged, right? So then you keep coming back to their motivation. Guys, what happens if you don't make this move? Like, what would one of them say?
Oh, we have to.
Oh, that's what I thought, yeah. But really, I mean, if we've seen that there's absolutely nothing for sale in the price point you want, the school district you want, and with the type of home that you want. So what happens if you don't move? Is your company willing to let you work from where you live now? Ask that question, because you have to get them you got to get them thinking about, we really don't have another option. They're wanting you. I think that we've led people to believe that we can kind of come up with these unicorn homes, you know?
And then you need to kind of follow that up with stupid, don't you? You know, what are you going to do if you don't move, stupid?
Well, you know what, it's funny, she says these buyers coming from out of area relocating here. So, if you don't know the little pockets, right, of Atlanta, it's very easy to see a house that's in Stockbridge that looks phenomenal at 425, and that same house here is 670. Okay, so you have to say, this is same house, what's your commute willing to be, right? We can achieve your goal. There might be some pain in your drive.
Y'all, stop being so nice.
Yes.
I think y'all are trying to be really nice. And listen, we're raised in the South, a lot of us. So as women, I'm speaking because I'm a woman raised in the South. I think we were raised to be very nice and polite.
We're nice in other parts of the country.
Oh, we are. Sorry, Midwest. Midwest for sure. Yeah, got it.
New York.
Yeah, I'm from New York, I'm from New Jersey, we didn't have any of that, just buy any of that.
Seriously, you have to agree. We have from the very South. Okay, wow, that was really good nerve right there. You guys know what I'm trying to say though, right? Are you leading your people? Because let me tell you, if you're not leading them, they are going to walk all over you, not in a negative way. I mean, if you give them any indication that what they want is available, or okay, well, I'll try to find it, but if I can't, stop. Just stop right now. They are hiring you to give them the facts. You are not there to make them like you or win them over.
You're there to do a job.
You're there to do a job. And you know what? If you're feeling uncomfortable in something, then I like to just acknowledge it and say, listen, I just want to stop for a second and make sure I've got your permission to be completely honest with you. Right? I mean, that is what you want in your realtor, right? And my job is to interpret the market for you. And what I'm telling you right now is what you want is not possible. And what I hear you saying is that you have to move. So, Mr. Buyer, let's come back to this. let's explore our options so that we can get your family into that new school district and set your kids up for a life they deserve, right? Or get you down here so you can have that whatever with work.
We've all got the call. If you had this buyer, right, that's moving down here, and they said to you, we saw Walton School District was the best and everything, we'd like something for $275, 3-bedroom. How fast would you say, no, that doesn't exist unless you want the smallest little condo maybe, you know, which would be 2-bedroom? No, you'd have that conversation. But when they think all of Atlanta, our job is to explain those pockets, and you can put them on a search for that. Now, you need to decide as well, if you're dealing with 5 buyers at the same time, are you willing to hire a showing assistant and whatnot? Because you can't go out to Stockbridge and then be in Canton 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
I live in the world of probabilities, not possibilities. May I explain? It's possible I could go down to Quick Trip and buy a lottery ticket and win $1 million, right? It's just not probable, right? So let's do this. Let's focus on what's available, not what's unavailable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
Are you drawing boundaries at that point and not showing them until they're pre-approval or that thing maybe?
You know, with the whole pre-approval process, again, this is all about you leading them. So if they're not willing to get pre-approved, then I would look at yourself first. Am I leading them, right? So with the pre-approval, it's, hey, this, for my buyers in your situation, this is the very next step that they always take. They reach out to my lender. I'm gonna do an email and text introduction right now. Do you have time in the next 24 hours to reach out to them and start the pre-approval process? It'll take about 30 minutes. Again, barrier to entry, right? If they're not willing to do that, then they're telling you how to treat them. But let's go back. Hey, you said you were gonna do that. I know things come up. Tell me what happened. Are you willing to do it now?
It's the same as a seller. It's a $650,000 neighborhood, and one house sold for $800 that happens not to be in the neighborhood, and they want $800. How much time and effort are you gonna keep?
I don't know. I just went on a listing appointment and I was interviewing, they were interviewing 3 agents. And 2 agents gave them a price of 1.1. I did not know this until after I gave them my pricing strategy. My pricing strategy was in the 9s, and they hired me. Are you that confident, and are you willing to walk away from the business? I'm not saying walk away from listings right now. That's a whole. But can you lead people? Can you articulate? Can you interpret what's happening in the market in a way that they want to hire you, even if they don't prefer the price that you're giving?
Yes.
Seriously.
But there's more probability than possibility with a higher. We've all seen it. Who's always the best agent, right? Agent number 2, because they could say, you failed miserably, right? And the market told you.
But what about being agent number 1,
Yes,
who predicts that and yeah, I mean, I think that I'm really focused on leadership right now, and not just leading my team, but leading our clients. They need leaders right now. Y'all, until more agents drop out of the business, and you guys are aligned with an office that's been around for lots and lots and lots of years. You've got Paige right here in the office. You've got so many resources to you. You can have a barrier of entry. So think about that avatar. Think about who is closing, who is buying homes, and go find those people. And you know the easiest way to find them? Like my goal, I told my team, so my goal this week, 10 contacts a day, 1 seller lead. 3 of those days, so 3 seller leads this week I want to find. So how am I finding them? I'm just picking up the phone, calling my past clients in Sphere and saying, hey, number 1, have you got your tax assessment in yet? Let me know when you do. They've risen significantly. I have a worksheet on how to appeal. Number 2, hey, my goal is to find 20 more sellers this year that aren't currently listed. Who do you know that's thinking about making a move this year that you can connect me with. That's it. You just ask for what you want, and it's amazing how it comes to you, right?
So Kelly, you would not work with a buyer if
I would not work with a buyer if they will not negotiate on one of these items. If they won't, if I can't lead them, and I know I've done everything I can to lead them to reach their goal, then I will not work with them. I won't let go of them, but I will lead them into the option of now is not the right time for them, right? And then put them on a nurture plan.
You're not a magician.
I can't,
You can't.
yeah. And guys, y'all know this, and I tell my buyers agents to tell their buyers, it takes an enormous amount of resources to work with a buyer right now. Am I right?
Yes.
More resources than it's ever taken. We have a 10-point system that we follow on our team to find inventory for our buyers. Only one of them is setting up the search and MLS. So when I am interviewing with a buyer, I'm letting them know I don't take on every buyer I meet with because of the amount of resources it takes right now to help my clients reach their goals.
And that makes them become real tied to their motivation, right? One thing that's never changed in sales, I don't care if you're selling insurance, right? They have to have a motivation to do it, right? It's not the impulse buy at Quick Trip and you grab the Snicker bar, you know, you shouldn't have, because there's no cost pain in that.
But we have to have a motivation too.
Yeah.
Guys, so if you're, dig into your motivation. What would happen if you did not hit your goal? Or what would happen if you did not have a closing this month or next month? Okay, ask yourself, why are you doing this? What's important about this career for you and for your family? What happens if nothing changes with the way your business is going right now? And guys, if the answer to any of that is, well, I'd be okay, this might not be the market for you.
Kelly told me to the degree wise, I called an agent and I said, why is this agent, remember this conversation?
We've had so many, I never know what you're gonna bring up.
But I asked her, I said, why is this agent not doing well? And she says, this agent was an average agent in a great market. Average agent will not do as well in this market.
Killed. Because somebody like me, or somebody like Paige, or somebody from my team, Clark, Jill, any of us, everybody sitting in this room, we're gonna know the stats, we're gonna know how to lead our people, we're gonna know the right questions to ask, and we're gonna get the people that we're meeting with thinking in a way that they haven't thought yet. And when they interview someone else, they're just gonna say, okay, so how many bedrooms did you want?
It's so important. I just
When
think
did you
that's
wanna
so
move? Like me, you know? Yeah,
And when do you get the BBA signed?
I can hustle. I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
If
sorry, is
if
that
you
the
haven't,
law?
I'm sorry, if you don't, then you did not do your job. It's not them, it's you. You failed somewhere, right?
If I can jump in
You
for a
always
minute,
can.
you'll appreciate this so much. I got a phone call yesterday from an agent. I have a couple of properties. The lowest priced one that's listed in new construction is 1.875 or something like that.
Mhm.
And she said to me, my client's price point is 1.5. And I went, great. And she said, am I wasting your time? And I said, yes.
And yours, and your buyers, yeah.
And
Would you
I
like to
said,
build one for 1.5?
and I said, but I would, while we're on the phone chatting, maybe I can put you in the right direction and maybe you can help me with something. Where did you find this buyer? I mean, I really wanted to know, where did this idiot find this 1.5 buyer? How did she get that 1.5 buyer?
Yeah.
Why didn't I have that 1.5 buyer?
So you're building the avatar of who's moving right now, so who
So-
are they?
And it was a relo person and she's,
Relocation.
and she's paying that, 40%. But I'm taking relo buyers now
Yes,
because they are the motivator.
motivated,
Correct.
absolutely.
In the past, I really didn't work with relocation buyers because I didn't want to pay that money out. But the relocation buyers that I take are looking for $2 million homes. But this woman
Oh.
actually had somebody for 1.5, and she did not know that she couldn't find a house in the Walton School District that was brand new for 1.5. She didn't know that.
And now, listen, the time to talk about this is not when you have failed to find anything. The time to talk about this is, well, really after they hire you, honestly. Because if you do this the wrong way,
Then they're
they're
not
gonna go
hire
real
you.
defeated.
Yeah.
Because
You don't give them the, like Paige said, you don't, before they sign, you don't go, oh, by the way, in Walton, you're not gonna get 1.5.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, I'm gonna find someone else, there's gotta be, this girl's crazy. No, you don't give them all the answers.
But it's amazing how unqualified, not buyers, she had a qualified buyer.
Yeah.
She was an unqualified agent. And that's our job, to me, that's your job, that's my job, to make sure that I'm not the unpaid big key and that my people are not out there practicing. We don't need to practice, we know what we're doing.
well, it's like Sean Ross says, there are two types of agents, right? Idiots and experts. And you don't know who you're gonna get till you get to closing.
And they both get paid the
They
same.
both get paid the same.
That's what's scary.
Order takers.
Yeah.
But that's what buyers think that they want. That's what they think we are. That's what they think that they want. So they'll be very easily led into that conversation. People, and I've got to go in just a second, but I will end with this. You have to understand the mindset or the minds of people right now. We're the same way. Human beings, we have entered into a phase of our beingness that we don't think deeply very often anymore because we're so distracted. If we've got buyers should be thinking this deep about their move and about their options and things like that. I think that as human beings, we're thinking about this deep because then our phone pings. Right? Or if it doesn't ping, we're like, okay, this is too much for me to think about. I'm just gonna get lost in social media for a minute. So it's never been more important, but we have to be the ones that get them to stop and say, but what is it about that? But no, really, what is it? What would happen if? Have you thought about this? Those will be the agents that his buyers pay them.
Be Dr. Phil.
Or Oprah.
Why is this a skills-based agent? It is skill-based content creation.
Well, it's all about the communication, and it's about leading people. You want to be a great agent right now? Go take some leadership lessons. Go take leadership classes right now, because you are a leader, or you're not.
Read John Maxwell.
Yes. Number one, humor is the fastest way to connect with people. Yeah, so connect. Yeah, you got to learn how to connect, and you have to get really good at having the hard conversations, because they're not.
I don't
hard.
wanna be salesy. You're a sales professional.
I love to sell. I love it.
Because you're not pushing someone, you're helping them sell the scope.
I love to get people sold and working with me.
Do y'all practice, how often does your team practice scripts?
Not as much as we should. We have 3 power-ups every week from 8:30 to 9 where we're practicing on our skills. Yeah, we practice questions and going deep on questions. And then when it comes to like objection handling, we do that once a week in team meeting where we talk about stats, what's happening in the market. And I've taught the objection handling formula here before. It's not about them saying something and us handling it. It's about acknowledging it. It's about asking a question to gain more clarity, like that's why communication is my favorite, why 4 CTTs. It's about level shifting, getting them to think differently, and then it's about them handling. But again, the average agent's just gonna jump right in there. Well, rates are, historically, they're really good. Gives a shit. They don't care about that.
Here's your bumper sticker.
Yeah, exactly. Great job. All right, sorry, I passed.
Sorry.
I gotta run now. We got our.
Before you move on, what questions do you have or comments about this? I'm sure Rob can answer your questions. Questions? Questions? Yes, ma'am. Charlotte.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Kelly.
Girl.
How are you?
Good.
So my question is, I like, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about real estate myself is because we're always growing and learning. So we have the DISC profile test that tells us what kind of personality we generally have. To improve our leadership qualities and improve ourselves as a leader, is there anything you think we could take from that test or something else where we could be like, oh yeah, that's where we need to grow?
Ooh, listen, I love the disc. I love because it begins to teach us how to communicate with the opposite of our personality. So yeah, I think that that's great. So if most agents are high ISs. Some of us are high Ds, like I'm a high ID, which can make me very conflicted sometimes. But for the most part, agents like to be liked. They like to have fun. They like to look at houses.
Right.
So a great leadership lesson would be go figure out how to communicate at a really comfortable level with the opposite of yours. So if I'm an IS, I'm going to go dig deep into DCs. And I'm going to go find people in my world that's a high DC, and I'm going to role play with them. Or I'm going to say, hey, I need to say this. I'm going to ask it like this. How did that feel? Right? I love that you brought that up. That's a great way to do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Because I found out that anytime I have somebody with their personality to me, I get quiet. We start asking questions, particularly someone calling and hollering at me. Your agent was the worst agent in the whole world. My God, she was terrible. I tell you more about that. Blah, blah, blah. And guys, if I get quiet, 90% of the time it works in the test. Tell me more about that. Because the person that asks the questions is what? One that wins. One's in charge of the conversation. And I know that Paige Morgan will go, really? Really? One of my favorite things. So before we let you guys go, tell me how you see the market out there right now. Tell me what you're seeing out there right now. Susan, what do you see?
Well, it's exactly what we talked about.
Which is
I mean,
what?
The buyer side is expectations, seeking to be not realistic. But I love the fact that she said that is my fault. And I'm gonna work harder on that.
What are you seeing out there right now? Liz, what are you seeing out there right now?
People still willing to snatch up a house, but then inspections are going a lot rougher.
Okay.
So there's a lot more negotiating, a lot more, and that's expectations too for sellers. Even if you say it, they don't, in my experience recently, they don't seem to retain it until they get asked for 1,000 things. There's
So
more of
are
that.
you seeing the seller being willing to negotiate more on the inspection items?
Yeah, they're doing it, but.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear that. What else?
Offers,
I'm hearing somebody talk to us.
multiple offers.
Multiple offers, okay, that's still true. That's still true. Multiple offers out there.
Not high above list price. Not as much above list price.
I'm finding that contingencies I'm losing out on a few things because of contingencies. Like we have the highest price, but appraisal contingency, 5-day DD, a 3-day DD, lost out on it. So I'm finding I'm losing out on, not on the price, on contingencies, which I know some things we got to do, but that's what I'm getting.
I haven't done, ask a seller to do a repair to a house in
So doing it.
2 years, maybe
Are they
3.
getting money instead or just nothing?
Either nothing or money.
I mean, how can you do it nowadays? I mean, with the time frame and getting somebody out there to do it, it's just stupid. You have to take money concessions.
Well, I think it has to do with the way you talk to the buyer agent. Okay, we're through due diligence, right? Oh, well, we just got the inspection report back. Well, you're not asking for repairs, are you? And they kind of go, well, yeah, well, no.
Yeah, that ship sailed.
Yeah, but you
Can't get
still need to
somebody
be
over there to
polite and
fix
use it,
anything.
it's a
We're
win-win.
gonna negotiate.
You come at a buyer's agent like that and buyers are gonna walk away.
Well, I don't do it that way. I'm saying it that way in order to make the point. Don't say it like that to the buyer agent, but the point is, are you serious? Are you kidding me? It's like I don't say stupid to the buyer, but in here I would say that.
Regulations, it doesn't amount to anything.
Yeah, but I think it's very important that you set the expectation to the buyer agent that you are not anticipating any repairs, nor is the seller. And then if there's something major and it's over list price, it's real easy to go back to the seller and say, if we had gotten an offer that was $4,000 over 800,000, which was our list price. If we had gotten an offer and it was as is, nothing, would you have taken it? And he said, yes. And I said, that's what this is. We got one for $815 and they're asking for $11,000. And so now you have sold your house for $4,000 over list price and you're done. So that's why we're not doing any repairs.
So that is a perfect example of asking questions, setting an expectation with their client and not being scared to have that conversation. You have to be bold a lot of times in your offers, in your conversations with people, right? So they could do a right to request repairs instead of a due diligence. You can ask the other agent, is that okay? Listen, and you're telling your client, we're still getting it inspected. We just don't know how much they're gonna participate in, but you love the house, right? Yeah. And if it's something horrific, you could talk about it.
It's just what happened some recently with my listing. We had multiple offers, but I had to educate my seller that multiple offers the highest price doesn't mean the highest offer. Because we had FHA way over. I know it wouldn't appraise, and they're only willing to pay $3,000. So I said, basically, you go through this is what happens. So it's really to keep educating them what happened. In the end, he had a very good cash buyer. And a couple of agents called me when after it closed to say, well, why did you go for this? Even though we did give some money back for repairs, but they were asking us, and it's really basically for that particular one was about the appraisal. Because they all came in way up. I know they wouldn't be appraised.
Any other questions? I would encourage you all to come on Wednesdays because the script practice that we're doing is not only, just making a phone call to someone. Everything we're talking about here is scripting, right? To be comfortable in having a conversation. Like if I call Jeff and go, Jeff, and I'm buying a house, what's the interest rate today? I know he's not answering that question. He's gonna say, tell me about the house you're buying, how much you think about putting down, what's happening here, because you give a number, now you're tied to that number, and that number means absolutely nothing because every scenario is different. We're the same.
Amanda? I was gonna say, something that's helping me a little bit with getting like contingent offers accepted is like, I'll talk to like a preferred lender about, hey, can we run an appraisal waiver on this? Like, are they putting enough down? Does it qualify? And then we can do 0 days and then we're good. But I haven't, knock on wood, haven't had any low appraisals yet. So thanks to our wonderful agents in the office, or our lenders in the office. But I was gonna say, I think the biggest thing that I've found is that like the buyer consultation and the listing consultation are so imperative right now, because that is what's setting all of my clients up for success. And they know that, I do the triangle like every single time, because as you guys all see, like it just makes sense, right? And like it's gotten some people out of Walton and into Wheeler, And it's gotten some people into Walton, but with no basement. And so it's like being able to find them what they need, and then they're happy with it, and then they're like, wow, you and your lender are a dream team. Like, we got the payment we wanted, we got the house we wanted.
So let me follow up on that and then we'll be done.
I thank Kim for that question also.
Okay, so how many in here, if I came to you right now and said, give me your buyer presentation, pull something out and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got it now, 6, right? But you'd be surprised, okay? That's not, it's your ability to be interviewed and get hired, right? Would you go on a listing appointment with no information? No. So you should have something you can touch, you can do, you can put together. So if you want to do the buyer presentation, sit down and go over it, let's do it. I just did it with Tori the other day, and she was like, where did you get it? I was like, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
James Shaw says that it is malpractice to not be doing consultations in this market and just in general. Like, and I've gotten 2 buyers recently that their agents were putting in offers for them and did not have a signed BBA.
Did not what?
Did not have a signed BBA, and they were putting in offers.
Because they're scared to ask someone to sign it.
It is illegal to not have a signed BBA and be representing somebody as a client.
Malpractice, that's against the law.
That's against the law.
I just said
But-
that's illegal.
Yeah, no, that is illegal. Do not do that. Sherry will literally kill you.
No, but we have a great office. We take the time to talk about this stuff. When you're a new agent and you go through Ignite, we go through this stuff, right? We're constantly, and Jim and I talk about this all the time. If someone in our office says, you know, there's really no training going on. Maybe you don't know where to look, right? But there's stuff all over the time. And if you guys want something different, all you have to do is ask. We put it together. Yes.
And if you wanna know about open houses,
yes,
tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, right here in this room, we're gonna talk about open houses and the things that you can do to increase your traffic at open houses. And that is the only thing you need is traffic at an open house. So bring your questions too. I love questions, if anybody has any.
Kim,
I was just gonna say, I think,
she's gonna be a mother-in-law.
I think there's an FHA stigma out there that needs to go away. And 'cause I had a great FHA offer this weekend. I know it was the best. And the agent that it was offered to, until she told me she was not going to present it because it was FHA.
That's another thing, against the law.
So a good follow-up.
So I'm going to send a 288 to see if she, we didn't get it, but I could tell from the terms of who did get it and what she said to me, that what her sellers took is less than the FHA. But if you learn how to write FHAs, you can put teeth into your FHA and make it a great offer. I've won 2 FHAs. But you
So
can put teeth.
what was the conversation? So we'll go back to, you had to sell inside, right? You had to sell inside that deal to the other agent to allow them to understand the benefits of that and bring your lender in at the same time to have those conversations. Because frankly, the only thing that should affect a contract on FHA versus conventional is one thing and one thing only.
Precondition.
An FHA appraiser and a VA appraiser or a conventional appraiser, they're gonna use the same comps. pretty much,
And I
right?
even
They don't
changed-
use different comps for
Right.
FHA.
And I even changed the contract and said the buyer would pay up to $2,000 if there was any repairs.
Smart.
And she would not present it.
Well, you.
And the house was stunning, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
there
was-
were no.
I was out of town, I did not see that. Amanda showed the house for me.
There were nothing.
There was not $2,000.
You know, the thing that's frustrating about that one is
Yes,
the
because
client-
there's
the
my
client's-
preferred lender that even followed
the
up.
client's debt to income ratio was low. The only reason he had cash in the bank in savings. The only reason he needed to go FHA was because he had thin credit and he had had a year and a half ago a derogatory, so his score was, you know,
And we
659 or whatever, 660, and DU nor LP would give it an approval. He couldn't go conventional.
But we explained that, well, I even I explained to him if it was conventional versus FHA, it was a point difference, and I in good conscience could not tell my client to go conventional when he could get a point difference for his, and I showed I put it all in the offer.
They have a conventional
Would not
approval, even though it's
present it.
expensive.
Isn't there a document that you can attach that forces them to acknowledge that their
That's a
client
two
received
eighty-eight,
it?
that's a 288.
That's
That
supposed to present
That they
well.
presented it to, because I put in there, I look forward to knowing that your buyer, your seller has seen the offer. Cause there was option money attached to it.
I learned
mean,
something.
it had teeth.
I didn't know there was a
Why do you
288
confirm
form
that he
to
actually
show
signed
that.
the seller?
Was that form attached?
Was it attached? Yes, I have received that. I have not.
Are you talking to Sherry?
Was it, a Keller Williams agent?
No.
See,
And here's the other thing is, what difference does it make you didn't get it?
I know.
So
Yeah,
next,
Right.
you know, I mean, I could have turned in 15 agents last week and called their broker and talked to Jim and talked to Sherry and everything else. It doesn't make any difference,
Right,
you
but
didn't get it.
But the fact is, bottom line, she did a disservice to her seller. We need to educate within, just because the letters FHA are on the top does not always mean it's the worst offer.
Were you able to talk with her on the phone and kind of explain all of the stuff you had?
Yes, she told me to make him do conventional and then he could refinance.
You got it.
Should manage a professional, especially.
She just wasn't gonna do it. My point
Last
of
question.
bringing it up was we have to educate ourselves better on FHA. It does not mean it's a bad thing. Cause there's people out there that is a good thing for them to get into the house.
Next question. So if you're an agent out there, and you keep losing deal after deal after deal after deal after deal after deal after deal, what should the conversation be? What?
How do I do it better? How do I submit a stronger offer?
So is that agent being unscripted? Are they getting out? In other words, if you keep submitting offer after offer and you never get it, who probably is the problem? Huh? Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably we're the problem. Would y'all agree with that? And I don't want to point anybody out, because I'm not out there selling houses, so I have the least want to say about that, but guys, you may want to talk to somebody, if that's happened to you, in the office, say, here's what I'm doing, tell me why I'm missing all those offers. Because plenty of people in here, that we want to sit down with you and say, well, let's talk about your buyer presentation.
there's 5 or 6 levers on the first page of the purchase and sale contract that all have a factor. You know, if I said, Jill, I said, hey, take a look at this deal. I know where her eyes are gonna go. She's gonna immediately go to price, they're immediately gonna go right there to closing costs. She's gonna go to the date, she's gonna look at earnest money, and she's gonna look at the time on the due diligence. Real quick. They're all factors.
That's why people sit and talk to me and look at it. Rob will do it, I know for sure, I'll do it, whatever, just let's do it, because we want to have our best spring ever. Anything else? Thank you all, look at the guys, most people not even having a team meeting right now, and look at us guys, we have a phone this much. Anyway, enjoy your day, thank you very much for attending.